Hello, YouTube, in regular colour, and welcome to the coronavirus update for 14th of February, maybe the 15th, Valentine's Day, 2022. Damn. And we're going to take a look today at whether my predictions of whether Omicron was going to be bad were right or wrong. I mean, you can make a decent case for both. For certain, if you take a look at worldwide cases, that's not worldwide cases. If you take a look at worldwide cases, what you'll find is the deaths are almost at the highest they've ever been. So looked at like that, yeah, it's bad that even after all the vaccinations and all that sort of thing, that it's still pushing up for peak deaths. However, if you take a look at the actual number of people who got it in the last wave, this is the actual number of confirmed cases, this is the number of deaths, blah, blah, blah. They're all basically keeping pace with each other until Omicron explodes and goes up by a factor of about 4, and the deaths really don't move up at all. 25, 30%, that sort of thing, maybe tops. So, I mean, you're looking at ballpark figures that there are 4 times as many people who got it and roughly the same number of people who died. So this is still not to be sniffed at. You're still talking an awful lot of people died. But if you take a look at the macroscopic numbers, this is so basically the total number of people who got it and the total number of people who died from it. You're talking, 6 million odd people died from this, and cases 400 million, that sort of thing. So, you're looking at 1.5% fatality rate, that sort of thing. Of course, this is not including all the people who, had it but didn't test positive. So, you're probably looking at, even at this point, years in, almost 2 years, more than 2 years into the pandemic, that you're looking at, fatality rate of about 1%. So, I was for certain if the fatalities had kept pace, if it had been comparably lethal to previous versions of the virus, this would have been really bad. And that's kind of what it looked like in the early days. Didn't pan out that way, which we can be very grateful for. But you got to be a bit careful here with the reasoning that just because the bullet whizzed past your head and didn't hit you, that doesn't mean that there wasn't any danger there. All the virus has to do is, with this little humble piece of DNA, is pick up 2 attributes. First one is it's got to spread like crazy, which this one does. And the second one is it's got to have, actually, for the virus, it doesn't care whether it's lethal or not. But if it is modestly lethal, then, bad day to be a multi-celled organism. And this virus, it picked up one of those attributes, and that attribute's out there, so now, we are somewhat helped out that in the arms race here, that we've had all the vaccines. There have now been a lot of people have been vaccinated by a mild form of the virus, so there's elements of herd immunity there now, which there weren't before. But is this spread evenly across the planet? And for that, let's head down to where it all started, South Africa. And what you'll see again and again is the cases on the most recent wave. It's a much narrower spike. It goes up quicker, comes down quicker. It spreads quicker, burns itself out more quickly. And the deaths, whatever, this is your 1% fatality rate, roughly the ratio of those two. This one is down, the last wave is down by a factor of 3, 4, that sort of thing in its lethality. However, not spread evenly across the world. And America is honestly kind of an outlier in that it's never really gotten under control. And America, even now, is almost at peak deaths. You're looking at 15,000 a week, It's 2,000 a day ish, which means that this is in the ballpark of, this is no longer the top killer in America. To be the top killer in America, you need, actually, no, it's close. So top killers are somewhere, about 500,000 a year. So that's, 1,000 a day, that sort of thing. And coronavirus is up at about two at the moment. So it's in that sort of league for one of the top leading causes of death in America at the moment. Um, and America is certainly going to break the 1 million um, deaths. The ratio of, I mean, Jesus, you look at these numbers now. 300 million people in America, 70 million have had it. It's getting on for a third of the people have actually confirmed as actually having the coronavirus, and about a million dead. Now, when I first crunched the numbers at the beginning of the pandemic, I mean, the absolute worst case scenario, I think, was like 2 million dead. So it's half now the way to the worst case scenario. And even at that, America is, it's a more higher death rate than it was in the first wave. Not as high as in, the second, but it's still up there. Um, you can hope this all comes down, but um, anyway, so America is probably a bit different in that, there are several regions in America, some of them going up, some of them coming down, which is why it's got this peculiar thing that it looks like it was never really under control in America. You sort of take a look at places like France, where it's also fairly bad at the moment. I mean, France is also getting up to sort of record deaths at the moment. But there have been times when, the cases have gone right down, which you've never really seen in America. But it's fairly constant across the rest of the world. Nice sharp spike for Omicron, and deaths creeping up, but nowhere near as bad as in previous waves. So Germany goes this way as well. Italy, again, the first big hub for the virus in the first wave. They're getting up there to peak. They're not peak deaths, but it's not insignificant either. Russia, they're another one of these outliers where they've never really got it, especially the deaths have never really gone down to zero at any point, and they've just had their huge Omicron spike. UK is a bit weird in that UK has had persistently modest deaths, but it's festered in the UK. Didn't really, which is this a good thing, bad thing? Well, it means you don't overwhelm the health service, which means you don't sort of get secondary deaths. You clock the hospitals, and then you've got problems. And so Israel's a bit of an interesting one. So Israel had a huge vaccination program that was very successful. I think is this wave that they did actually get down to zero on the deaths, and then they had another wave, and they're actually now at peak deaths. So it wasn't anywhere near as bad as it could have been with Omicron, but not insignificant either. You only need these things to pick up their two attributes of crazy spreadable, which this one has, genes are out there, and the virus doesn't care whether it kills people or not. It just cares whether it spreads or not. I'm talking about it like it's got some sort of sentience to it. It's not. It's just a little bit of genetic code. Anyway, you come down to places like where I'm at, like Czechia, and again, we've had huge spikes. So, previous waves, we had cases, smattering of cases in the office. No real cases, no person-to-person spread within the office. This wave has about half the group has had it. At least half the group has been confirmed as having it. And, now those of us who have never actually tested positive, of which I'm one of them, we are feeling more and more like the survivors of the zombie apocalypse, where everyone around you has either been infected or, had it at some point in the past. Um, the truth is, we probably had it as well. Um, it's just we weren't tested whilst we had it, or the symptoms were very mild. Everyone who had it, uh, mild flu-like symptoms. No one got very bad with it, which is historically what you expect. So, but yeah, I mean, when you actually consider this from its humble beginnings, this little bit of virus um, came out of China 2 years ago, and it's run amok in the human population. I mean, we're now up to 6 million people have died from this, which is crazy. And yeah, you take a look at the world deaths, and still no real sign of the world deaths going down. Now, the nice thing is, of course, that eventually you do hit a sort of immunity. I mean, you take a look at the vaccine doses. Everyone, well, and this is the problem with vaccine doses. I'm actually triple jabbed. It doesn't actually stop you from getting the virus. It just means that you're actually having had it doesn't. None of these things stop it from. If you get it in you, it goes into a cell. It's going to start reproducing. The thing is that if your body is already primed with the antibodies to shut it all down, then you don't really get the infection. But yeah, it spread absolutely everywhere. And hopefully, there does come this sort of tipping point when most people have had it and you get a sort of herd immunity, and then you should get to a fairly steep end to the virus. But the thing is, not only is it spread all over the world, it's also spread into animal populations all over the world. So yeah, Omicron nowhere near us. Yeah, that Omicron was, thankfully. I would even take it for. Yeah, I was wrong about Omicron when I said it was going to be bad. Not entirely true that it wasn't bad, but you see what I mean. It was nowhere near as bad as it could have been. So let's hope that we get the herd immunity, and at some point we come to a really quite steep end to all of this, and that's it. It's springtime for the Northern Hemisphere now, which has historically been, it all died down for a lot of North America and Europe during that. So hopefully that will help out some. Incidentally, these people now who have dodged the bullet for so long, like China and Australia. Australia did a fantastic job of keeping it out, but now, of course, now the problem is, of course, that unless you've got good vaccination, when it does arrive on your shores, there's now super virulent viruses and no real herd immunity like there is in places like America, where loads of people have had it. And so they're not just kind of at peak deaths at the moment in Australia. They're off the charts of where they've been. They're 6 times worse than they've ever been in Australia. And there comes this point when all these people have had cases over the years. Those people have some resilience to the virus, which you're not going to have if you were very effective at keeping the virus out. You've missed that avenue of vaccination by infection. Anyway, so let's keep our fingers crossed, and many thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.